Back, everyone. Next up, we have Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol MIGI and is a digital infrastructure provider with multiple operations throughout the United States. Mawson's vertically integrated model is based on a long-term strategy to promote the global transition to the new digital economy. Mawson matches sustainable energy infrastructure with next-generation mobile data center solutions, enabling low-cost Bitcoin production and on-demand deployment of infrastructure assets, with a strong focus on shareholder returns and an aligned board and management. Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. is merging as a global leader in ESG-focused Bitcoin mining and digital infrastructure. Today, we'll be speaking with Rahul Mevawala. He's a technology and business leader and has held numerous executive and operating roles, including CEO, president, and executive vice president. He has extensive experience across Fortune 500 and growth companies, including Yahoo Inc., General Electric Company, and Nokia. He also served as a board director for several NASDAQ-listed public companies. He earned an MBA degree from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University and currently serves as a CEO and president at Mawson Infrastructure Group. Rahul is joined today by Ariel, the company's CFO, Liam, the company's chief operating officer, Tim, the company's chief corporate officer, and Craig, the company's chief development officer. Happy to welcome you all to the Emerging Growth Conference today. Welcome.
Anna, thank you. Real pleasure to be here. And thank you to everybody who's joining us today from around the world. We're pleased to be here with you and excited about continuing to strengthen our relationship with both our existing shareholders and looking forward to welcoming new shareholders as well. I wanted to just start off by giving a quick overview of who we are at Mawson Infrastructure Group. And before we get started, just a quick reminder that in today's presentation, we may make forward-looking statements. So please see the slide regarding these statements. And we do encourage you to read our full disclosures in our most recently filed 10K, which is available on our website, mawsoninc.com, in our Investor Hub section. With that, let's kick off with a quick sort of introduction to who we are, our business, and our revenue streams. One of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that we have a diversified revenue mix. It allows us as a company to be dynamic in terms of our operating model. And I think in particular, given the current macroeconomic environment, it allows us to optimize to existing market conditions to maximize our returns and create shareholder value. The three core revenue streams that Mawson has, one's Bitcoin mining. I think as many of you are familiar, we are one of the leading public Bitcoin mining companies, and we currently deploy approximately 13,750 miners across our sites, with an additional 50% on top of that, nearly 50% on top of that, miners that we have available that could be ready for deployment. So we have a large fleet of about 20,000 miners as a company. In addition to our Bitcoin mining business, we also have a data center hosting business where we partner with our customers and partners around hosting and enter into long-term agreements with them. We currently, as a company, have about 50 megawatts of hosting that is up and running, and we have a very strong pipeline of about 70 megawatts more that we have available for deployment. The third revenue stream that we have is around the energy markets program. And as many of you know, we have been involved with the energy markets program that we believe is beneficial for the grid in the areas that we operate in, the communities that we operate in and around, and for Mawson. And I'll talk more about that in a minute as well. But the mix of these three revenue streams really allow us as a company to optimize on a constant basis and calibrate based on where we believe we could create the most shareholder value. It's, as we sort of, as we're in the middle of sort of 2023, it really is an exciting time for us at Mawson. We've we had a really interesting 2022. We're certainly looking forward to the remainder of 23, and we have a catalyst event, we believe, in 24, given the halving of Bitcoin, as many of you are familiar with. And, our dynamic model that I talked about not only allows us to adapt to changing market conditions, but it also allows us to position for where we believe the industry is going to be moving forward. One of our core strengths as a company really has been our digital infrastructure-driven strategy. We've been particularly focused and have developed really strong capabilities on being able to identify and acquire mining sites that we believe have very favorable operating conditions that allow us to operate very efficiently and in a way that which we can maximize our value and our investor return. We've also been very effective in having sites and operations in areas that we could leverage underutilized power infrastructure. That allows us to not only secure long-term energy agreements that we believe will be beneficial to the business, but we also believe is beneficial to the communities around us as we utilize power infrastructure that historically has been underutilized. One of the other key elements that we're really excited about as a company is our pipeline of new sites. We have an incredible development team that's on the road, identifying new sites, entering into strong long-term relationships with our partners, and to develop our pipeline as we continue to think about growth moving forward. And we as a management team have been incredibly focused and will continue to be around executing our strategy with a focus around how can we enhance valuation for the company, and in particular, enhance returns for our shareholders. Let's deep dive a little bit into the Bitcoin mining business that I spoke about. As I mentioned, we have about 13,750 miners that are currently deployed. The potential Bitcoin revenue, just based on the miners that we currently have deployed, is nearly 3 Bitcoin a day. And if we consider the miners that we also have available for additional deployment, that could potentially grow to about 4.3 Bitcoin a day. At roughly current Bitcoin pricing levels, and certainly those numbers go up and down, the potential revenue around just our Bitcoin mining revenue stream is north of $120,000 a day, or about $44 million a year. And certainly, as we sort of think about the halving event next year, that could be an additional catalyst for this business. One of our core advantages, and one of the things that we've been most delighted about, is our capabilities and our proprietary capabilities around how we design our MDCs, our modular data centers, and how we architect them in a way that allows us to be both agile and efficient in terms of how we deploy our mining fleet, and in terms of both our own self-mining and our co-hosting arrangements. And what you see are examples of how we deploy our fleet and our next generation MDCs. And we also, for those of you who are interested, have regular site tours. So if you happen to be in and around any of our sites, certainly feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to give you a tour. In terms of our operational sites, we have a strong focus on the US, which has been very beneficial for us as a company. We've recently, over the last several months, been optimizing our portfolio. So we have doubled down on geographies that we believe are good long-term bets, such as Pennsylvania and Ohio, and exited geographies where we believed that long-term prospects were not as attractive. And we as a company will continue to sort of assess our portfolio on an ongoing basis to ensure that we maximize the return on capital that we deploy as a company with a view around shareholder returns. The other thing that we've done that has worked really well for us is, instead of having a couple of mega sites, we've had a more diversified view around having multiple sites that are of different sizes. This allows us to not only be agile as a company, but allows us to continually think about what mix makes sense for us from a self-mining or co-hosting environment, and allows us to also diversify our risk and enhance our opportunities across a number of different sites. We are currently, just to share some metrics with you, we're at about 264 megawatts in terms of capacity. Our total available capacity that we could have online, our current online capacity is about 88 megawatts. So we have some upside there. Our average site temperature is an optimal 43 degrees. And this plays into my comment earlier around our being very deliberate about where we operate to ensure that the weather is optimal in terms of operating conditions for our miners. In terms of our energy mix, we're very proud that we're carbon free. And that is something that we will continue to sort of do moving forward as a company. I talked briefly about our portfolio strategy around geographies, and we've been one of the front runners in the industry to really think about what are preferred locations for our business, and how can we double down in those locations, and then have long-term prospects in a way that will be beneficial for our shareholders. Just to sort of give you some examples of why we're heavily in sort of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Compared to some of our peers, we believe that the energy market in those states and some of the adjacent states are very beneficial to our business. We believe the climate's very optimal, as I sort of talked about. Energy costs are very efficient, and so they play well into our financials as we sort of think about return on capital. We have a terrific local workforce that has been a real asset for us as we continue to grow the company. And from an operational standpoint, we've developed some real market knowledge around these geographies and are able to deploy really quickly and be incredibly efficient. One of the other key elements that underpins our business is our access to energy and our pipeline around energy resources. We currently have about 400 megawatts in terms of our current and our pipeline in the PJM energy market, which we believe is a very beneficial market for our business and our industry. We have long-term and deep relationships with power suppliers in these regions that allow us to get access to underutilized power infrastructure and allow us to rapidly deploy in these sites. I'd sort of give you some examples of where our sites are. We're in Midland, where we have a large facility of about 120 megawatts. We're also in Sharon, which is a similar size facility. And then we're in Corning in Ohio, which currently is at 24 megawatts, but as you can see, is upside to go all the way to 50 megawatts. And all of these leases are long-term leases, anywhere from 9 years to 14 years and upwards. And so we're entering into long-term leases in what we believe are very preferred locations with sort of preferred terms. We are continuing to grow our pipeline. We have a number of additional sites across both Pennsylvania and Ohio, and some of those are between 18 and 24 megawatts, and some are larger, as large as 200 megawatts. And we will continue to grow our pipeline as we think about growth moving forward. One of the other priorities for us as a company is our ESG focus. We believe that by having ESG as a priority, not only do we add value to all of our stakeholders, but ultimately we add value to our shareholders and increase the value we create for our shareholders. We're very proud at Mawson that we are carbon free. We're net zero carbon. And how we contribute back to the environment and give back to our communities is certainly been of key importance to us as a company. A lot of the areas that we operate in as an example, in Pennsylvania and Ohio, are erstwhile industrial towns, where we've really helped revitalize those communities, retrain the workforce, provide new skills around digital infrastructure and the digital economy, which in turn has provided us with an incredibly loyal, incredibly dedicated workforce. And we're very proud of the employees that we have, and very grateful for having the opportunity to contribute back to the communities that we operate in. We also have what we believe is a best-in-class governance framework. We have an independent board, an independent chairman of the board, and we continue to operate to what we believe are best-in-class business practices. The other strength that we have at Mawson is we have a very deep bench of talent. We believe that our management team is a key attribute as we think about success moving forward. We have a deep bench of talent across both strategy, operations, and finance. I'm joined by a number of our management team members today, and we continue to focus around how we can be most efficient with our capital, think about making smart long-term bets as a business, and generating and maximizing shareholder value as a company. In summary, what we'd like to leave you with really is our excitement around where Mawson is today and how we're positioned for the global digital economy. Our operating model, we believe, is optimal for not only the current environment, but the ongoing macroeconomic environment that allows us to generate revenue across a multitude of revenue streams. Our core capabilities around identifying and acquiring mining sites in optimal areas, we believe, will continue to bear fruit for us as a company. And our ability to deploy quickly, be very efficient and very successful with site development while utilizing underutilized power infrastructure has paid dividends for the company and will continue to do so moving forward. And our core focus on executing against our strategy, thinking about how we can continue to enhance valuation for the company and deliver superior shareholder returns continues to be paramount for us as a management team that drives the company moving forward. With that, we'd love to take questions. As I mentioned, I'm joined by a number of my management team members. Our CFO, Ariel, is here with us today. Liam, our Chief Operating Officer, joins us as well. Tim, who's our Chief Corporate Officer, is with us as well. And Craig, our terrific Chief Development Officer, has joined us today as well. And so we're delighted to take questions. Happy that you could make time for us. And then I'll turn it back to you for Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rahul. Yes, it is great to see that the company is well positioned for the future. So what are some of the things you are seeing and what are the drivers behind them?
Yeah, it's a really interesting time for both the industry and for us as a company. I think our three-pillar revenue strategies work really well. Our ability to generate revenue across our Bitcoin mining operations, our hosting operations, and our energy markets program has been very successful. And secondly, our optimization of our geographical assets has been very beneficial. We were early in the industry to look at our sites and think about what are long-term bets as an industry and where do we want to be forerunners. And our move into the PGM market, which now a number of our peers are also interested in, but we've developed some great expertise in those local markets, has been very beneficial for us as a company, and I think will keep us well positioned. And then thirdly, we're just very proud of the team that we have. We have an incredibly dedicated, talented, innovative team that's always thinking about, how we can better position the company for success moving forward. And that's been a real delight. And I'll turn it over to Ariel and Liam if you have any additional comments to make.
Thanks, Rahul, and thanks for the question. And I think what we're most excited about is that the three pillars of our revenue that Rahul spoke about earlier, being the self-mining, hosting, and the energy curtailment programs. Now that we went through 2022, that's been market stress tested, and I think that's what we're very excited about this year, is that we can deal with fluctuations in Bitcoin, whether Bitcoin goes to the moon or goes down to areas we don't want it to go to, or whether energy prices increase rapidly like they did through 2022, or if energy prices continue on the trajectory they're on now, which is nice and low. We know that our model works, and I think that's probably what I'm certainly most excited about for the future. The fact that we've been stress tested and got through it.
Good.
Hi, Rahul. Sorry, Anna. I just want to add that a cliche is that the Mawson's people and the team is a fundamental asset, and with the incoming Raul and Sandy, it just strengthens and it steps us further and sets us up for the future. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, continuing on with this question, what would you all say some of the company's differentiated strengths as you look towards your future growth? What would they be?
It's a great question, Anna. I think from our standpoint, our ability to identify great sites, quickly deploy and get up and running, and scale our digital infrastructure operations has been a core capability of ours. And one that I think we will continue to sort of invest in moving forward. We're also delighted to have very strong and very deep relationships across our ecosystem. So our vendors, our customers, we've had very deep long-term relationships with all of our stakeholders, and continue to sort of invest in those relationships that we believe will continue to bear fruit for the company moving forward. And then, thirdly, as we talked about, our team's a real asset for us. We continue to sort of invest back in our communities, retrain the workforce there for more digital economy jobs, and develop a workforce that we really believe is best in class in industry. And so those have been some real sort of key strengths for us as a company. And Craig, who's joining us today is our Chief Development Officer, and Tim is our Chief Corporate Officer. Craig and Tim, why don't you sort of add some perspectives of yours as well around sort of what are some of our key strengths and what differentiates us within the industry?
Sure, happy to go first. I think our strategy around the region in the PJM market is one of which we're kind of early and all in on. It's an area where we find that having a cluster of sites has a benefit to us operationally with staffing, setting up sites, deploying sites, maintaining sites, and also growing sites. A key benefit when it comes to capital required to develop these sites being in that temperature zone is that we don't need to consider immersion. We run air-cooled facilities, which allows us to build at less than a quarter of the cost or around a quarter of the cost of what it would do immersion in other hotter temperature states. So I think that's a key benefit for us and why we're focusing on that area.
Thanks, Craig. I'll just jump in and really emphasise a point that's been made throughout the presentation and the Q&A, which extends to this, and that's the team behind making these decisions. We have a really robust and varied team that we have great spirited internal discussions, which leads to these decisions that we've made previously to go to this region, how we deploy. And I think that's a real strength going forward, is that we can comfortably tackle any issue that comes up, no matter the change in dynamics in the industry, the market, or any other scenario.
Perfect. And you also spoke about your energy markets plan as another piece of your business and how it benefits local communities. So can you explain what this is and how you leverage it in your business?
Sure, happy to, Anna. For those that aren't familiar with the Energy Markets Program, the way it works is in the communities that we serve, at times where the grid has a high demand for usage, we have the ability to curtail our usage at our sites and calibrate our usage in line with where the grid is and what the needs of the grid are. What it allows us to do better than most other industries is calibrate our energy usage in relatively real time, in some instances in a matter of minutes, where we can calibrate with what the needs of the grid are, either amp up or amp down, and which allows the grid to then reallocate that energy to communities that may need them most during times of intense summer or intense cold, and enables us to also have an additional revenue stream. And so we're very proud of that program. It works very well for the communities. It allows us to help strengthen the grid and calibrate with the grid in relatively real time. and has provided us with a good mix around revenue that we sort of will continue to sort of see moving forward. So it's been a really great program for us to participate in, and we've been very grateful for the opportunity.
And would you like to speak about ESG and how you view it as a company? Is it one of your priorities?
It certainly is. And, the way we view ESG is we see it as a real core strength of the company. It allows per stakeholder. We really reinvest in the communities we operate in. And a lot of these communities, if you come and visit us in Pennsylvania, Ohio, or some of our other sites, are, erstwhile industrial towns where, some of these towns have really sort of fallen on difficult times, and are having a presence in markets allows us to have revitalizing these local communities. We heavily invest in these communities, in providing sort of resources, giving back to the community. We've been retraining the workforce for more sort of next generation jobs. And as a result, have developed really deep relationships with these broader communities who are very happy for us to be operating in these communities. We also have really focused on our energy usage. We're very, very proud of the fact that we're carbon free. And that's been a real driver of us as a company. And from a governance standpoint, we've really worked and strived to put in place and continue to develop best-in-breed governance practices. And ultimately, we believe that this focus on ESG results in our being able to deliver superior shareholder returns. And so we will continue to sort of keep this as a priority for us as a company moving forward.
We have a few more questions. Let's see how many we can get in due to our time. Tony wants to know if you can go over your streams. Mining is one, hosting is one. What else is there? And which one is the most profitable?
So our three streams, one is mining, and thanks for the question. The second is hosting, where we partner with customers to co-host with them or have long-term hosting contracts. And the mix of the first two really depends on what we believe is of most strategic value given the current environment. So that mix might change from time to time, but having that mix of revenue streams has been very valuable. The third revenue stream is around the energy markets program, where at times of high demand, we're able to recalibrate our energy usage and in turn generate revenue from the grid. That program has not only been beneficial to our communities, but is also a very high margin revenue stream for Mawson. And given our infrastructure, we're able to ramp up and ramp down pretty quickly. And so we're able to benefit from that program. So those are our three revenue streams, and the mix of those change from time to time, based on where we believe is the optimal mix. And Ariel, if you can maybe share a little bit around our margins around those three revenue streams, that'd be great.
And then we have a... Yes, sorry.
Our revenue streams around the three different. The gross margins around the three revenue streams are
Yes.
fairly high. So the mining stream is you're looking upwards of 85%. Again, the energy markets, depending on the timing, again you're looking at upwards of close to 85 again, even higher at times. And the hosting revenue, you're looking at margins of probably upwards of 60, 70 above. So quite lucrative revenue streams.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, we are complete with our time today. We have a few more questions for you, but we'll send it to you so you can answer on your own. We really appreciate you joining us today, and it's been a great conversation. Thank you so much. We hope you come back again with some updates.
Thank you, Anna, for having us. Real delight. And, we'd welcome additional questions. We have our investor relations email up on the slide. And so please feel free to sort of send us additional questions, and look forward to talking with all of you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our next presenter.